Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast, the show that takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible.
Welcome to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. And how many times have you been told to trust your gut? I feel like it's something that we're always being told when we're trying to make decisions or just trying to decide on something or something's going on in our life, whether it be big or small. And we ask for advice. Everyone says, well, just listen to your gut. And of course, that is easier said than done, because how do we know exactly what our gut's saying, right? It might not just be like that simple of an answer. When you're contemplating something, you know, you have a big decision, you don't know what to do, and it just seems like the one piece of advice that no matter who you go to, they say, well, just listen to your gut. And I think it is so important to trust your gut. But it's like, I have such a hard time, okay, but what is my gut saying? Like, I don't know. Like, I need to be more connected with my inner self to really understand what my gut is saying. So I have a hard time doing that. But today I'm going to talk to you about like the importance of actually trusting your gut. I'm going to try to give you some tips on how to listen to your gut, how to know what your gut is saying, you know, why you should listen to it. All that kind of stuff, because I do think it is crucial in our lives and our decision making and just in our happiness in general to be, you know, making the right decisions as best to our ability as we can, right? So I'm going to dive right into, you know, your gut. It's your gut instinct, right? It's your intuition. It's your immediate understanding of something, you know, there's no need to think it over or get another opinion, you just know, right? When you just know, you know. Your intuition arises as a feeling within your body that only, like, you can experience, right? That is such a feeling inside of you that you strictly feel. No one else can kind of experience that and know that. Because the feeling is so personal, like, no one else can really weigh in to tell you if that you're in touch with your gut instinct or not. And, like, this is where I struggle is, am I really listening to my gut? Or am I, you know, is it my head? Is it part of my head or my heart? Or what exactly am I listening to? And only we, like, can really know what we're listening to. And that's what makes it just so difficult. You know, you alone have to make the call. You have to make the decision. Am I listening to my intuition? Am I listening to my gut, my first response? Does this feel right? Does this feel wrong? Like, how am I feeling on the inside? And because of this, like, trusting your intuition is the ultimate act of trusting yourself. And I think trust in general is a pretty difficult thing for a lot of people. When you've been let down, it's hard to trust others, whether that you let yourself down, someone else let you down, the universe let you down, whatever it is, it's hard to trust after that. And our unconscious mind has a whole, you know, it's crazy how much information we're storing in our unconscious, our subconscious mind, and we don't have easy access to all of that information. You know, it has stored up pretty much everything that's ever happened to us, and it makes decisions accordingly due to, you know, our past experiences, what's happened to us, our lives and everything, right? So it's just hard to know, right? And it's hard to pull information from that area. Like, have you ever met someone and you like them, like, right away, within, like, the first, like, 3 words? Even if you barely know them, you just instantly like them. Or maybe you meet someone, who seems perfectly nice, but you just can't stand them. And you just, don't know why. You're like, I don't know why, but this person drives me crazy, or this situation drives me crazy, or, I feel uncomfortable, and all of a sudden you just kind of get that feeling like, oh my gosh, I don't like this. This is your unconscious at work, right? This is that part in your body, that part in your brain that's kind of signaling you from past experiences, and that deeper inner self is telling you, run away. This is not good. Run away. The people we're drawn to oftentimes remind us of people that we've had positive encounters with in the past, which is right. It's our subconscious mind and things, pulling back information. And then we're drawn to those people if we've had a positive situation with them before, right? And so the same goes for if we don't like somebody, if that person, our subconscious is, that's alerting us of something negative that happened, we're going to kind of stay away from that. You can pick up on these things subconsciously, without even realizing it, and it will cause you to have a feeling that you just can't quite pinpoint or explain. But we're always told, listen to that inside feeling, listen to, your intuition, your gut, trust it, you have to trust your gut. But if we're going to be trusting our gut, that means we're supposed to be trusting ourselves, right? Because it's our inner selves. And like I said, trust is not the easiest thing to do for a lot of people in a lot of situations, no matter the circumstances, no matter whether you've been let down or not. Trust is just something that we have to build upon. We have to understand. We have to, have a mutual agreement, just a mutual stance at it. And it's hard to fully trust ourselves too, because I think that we're always kind of going in a circle with ourselves a lot of the time. You think this one thing and then this the next, and you trust yourself and then you don't trust yourself. And, it's not always our fault, but we kind of put the blame on ourselves. I shouldn't have done that. But, maybe it was your first instinct and it was wrong. Or maybe, you didn't listen to your first instinct and you overthought it and you did something else, and then you're getting mad at yourself for overthinking, and it's just kind of a circle, right? And then we get into this pattern of not being able to trust ourselves and not, really knowing what we want and want to do. And then we're in the pattern of overthinking and getting mad. And, it's just a never-ending cycle of overthinking and untrusting and overthinking and untrusting and getting angry and upset with ourselves and making the wrong decisions because we're angry and upset and we're overthinking, and just kind of a cycle. And so that's why I think it's so important to try to be, connected with your inner self and your inner gut and your inner intuition of, so then you can be connected with the right things and the right decisions, and you can feel positive about yourself, and you don't need to run in circles. Because trusting ourselves can just be so difficult. Trusting yourself, the timing of your life, and the universe all at once, it's a lot, right? And we put all that pressure kind of on ourselves to make sure everything is in line and to make the right decisions, and okay, I need to be in line, and the universe and the timing of my life and everything, right? It's a lot. But we put so much value into being accepted by other people that we have pushed what our gut is saying down a lot of the time. We don't trust ourselves, and maybe we trust other people, so we look to others for validation in things instead of looking towards ourselves. We go to others for advice. Not saying that getting an outside perspective, isn't great, but it's hard to trust other people. It's hard to trust ourselves, but it's something that we need to learn to do. We need to build upon that. And once we are able to trust ourselves, we can kind of push that overthinking away and those negative things that happen and just actually trust what is best for us. We can trust that the universe is going to align, the timing in our life is going to align, and things are all going to work out okay. And I just think this kind of all starts with really being connected to yourself, trusting your gut, and basically just understanding your own, what's going on inside of you. Just having a really good awareness, right? Your self-awareness. And it's not so simple. Like I said, it's so much easier said than done, because if things were that simple, then of course, everyone's going to be listening to their gut and their first instinct, and it doesn't work like that, right? And it's so different for everybody to how to really get in touch with your gut feeling and making the right decisions, and your inner self and your subconscious mind. It's different, right? And there are so many things that get in our way of trusting our gut and listening to it. So I'm going to go through some of the things that we kind of, that kind of block us from trusting and listening to our gut. And I'm going to dive into, those things so that you can become aware of them. So you can try to push those things aside. You can try to overpass those and hopefully get more in touch with your intuition and listening to your gut. But before I do that, it is time for a little bit of a break. So don't go anywhere. I have a ton more information for you when we get back. Thank you.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America's Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
We are back listening to GSMC Life and Happiness podcast. So like I said before the break, I'm going to jump right into the things that get in the way of us trusting ourselves and listening to our gut. And like I've mentioned, overthinking is like the biggest one, putting excessive thought into every decision and like walking through countless amounts of scenarios to try to make up your mind. That is like the number one thing that gets in the way, because we try to think of every possible thing. And it's good to be careful. Don't get me wrong. I am so guilty of overthinking. But like, because I try to be careful, right? I try to pick apart every little thing that could maybe happen, and I'm trying to get, and it's bad because we're trying to be so careful, but it's actually the one thing that's kind of blocking out like what's really going on, or like our real feelings towards it. Because we're trying to be so careful, we end up being a little bit messy, to be completely honest. And it's hard to rationalize when you have a million things going through your mind. You can't think clearly on what is actually correct, because your thought process is completely mixed up by all the things going on in your mind. Your mind is completely flooded with possibilities and considerations, and you're just not able to have that tunnel vision to what's really important and like what's correct for you. And then the next thing that gets in our way is the shoulds or the what ifs. This happens when we are overthinking, of course. Like, I should do this for this reason. Or what if I do this and this happens? Will someone like me if I do this? What are they going to think? What are the opinions of others? What if this happens? It's the shoulds and the what ifs that shift the focus from you. They distance yourself from your intuition. It really does distance us from, that inner feeling, trusting our gut, blocking out everything else, and just like being connected with our inner selves. Another thing that definitely kind of gets in our way is our emotions. Your emotions can completely take over your mind and your thoughts. Whether you're sad or you're overly invested into something, you become like obsessed with something and you kind of only have tunnel vision for just that, or your one vision. You kind of close-minded to some things. Your emotions can really take over. It's whether you're in love or you're sad, you're angry. It doesn't matter what it is, but it takes over our decisions. You're blinded by your own feelings. Our emotions are so powerful. It is crazy the things that we we do because of, emotion, and then we end up regretting it because it's like how we felt in the time, but we didn't take the time to like take a step back and like really try to think about it, right? And if you've ever heard this saying, never make a permanent decision on a temporary feeling. And I just think that's so true because, if we're sad, something tragic happens or something very emotional happens, we kind of jump to the gun. We like, oh, I'm so sad about this right now. And maybe you make a decision that's just hasty, or you're so angry and you jump to this quick conclusion just because of your overwhelming emotions that happen to you, right? A lot of the time, like, these feelings and emotions can change later on, and so that's why we need to learn to take a step back and take a deep breath, not react on our initial emotion, because emotions can be so high, but you also need to be careful, not just our initial emotion that can really hold us back or can get in the way of being connected with our inner selves, but if it's something really tragic or something very emotional, we kind of go through a roller coaster of, maybe sad and angry, upset, you're kind of up and down, and then you're okay, and you really kind of gotta sit there, think, and just really know, okay, what am I actually feeling about this situation? And I really think the only thing we can do is just like give it time, which sucks, but it's true. Time heals all wounds. Time calms so many different emotions, right? So we just need to kind of give it time, let time do its thing so our emotions can be more calm, we can be more centered and aligned, right? Because we rush into something because of how it makes us feel at the start, or because during our roller coaster of our emotions, we felt this and this and this, and it's just not always the right decision. Another thing that gets in our way is someone else's opinion, advice, wants, or needs. This comes a lot from like a loved one. When you go to somebody, maybe you really look up to this person, you really value their opinion, you really value their advice. That's why you go to them. That's why, it's so important to you. Authority figure, whatever it is. And when they tell you something, we listen to that because we think, okay, like this person is an authority figure, they're higher than me, or maybe they have more experience, or they're just a loved one, and you care about their opinion and their advice so much that it makes us overlook, our intuition, our gut feeling, and what we really need or want at the time. We have this strong desire to fill the need of someone else that we overlook or ignore any red flags along the way. When we want something so badly, we have tunnel vision for only that, and it can block out what's actually really good for us, what we really need. So when we want to listen to this person's advice, we want to value their opinion, we want to take that into, take it into our mind, take it into our thoughts, and try to make our decision based off that. Because we care so deeply about that, it kind of veers off the road of the things that we need to do correctly, being connected to ourselves. Wanting something so badly, we block out the reality. When you're really hungry for something, whether it's love, acceptance, you want a child, your social status, anything, your strong desire to fill that need, it's gonna make you overlook those red flags, whether you're looking to an authority figure or not. Just when you want something badly enough, we block out everything else, right? And we're not able to align ourselves with what we really need. So now that we kind of got out of the way of everything that kind of gets in the way of our intuition and trusting your gut, trusting ourselves, now I'm going to talk to you about how we can find our intuition, how we do trust our gut. And the number one thing is just to slow down. Take a breath and just sit down. Like I said before, time heals all wounds. If we can just take a breather, calm down, just like try to let it all go, try to let the worries go, and just kind of slow down, and just sit with yourself. We jump towards so many things because of so many different reasons. We make rash decisions, and a lot of the time we don't take the time to just slow down and think rationally. Not overthink, but just chill. connect with yourself. Slowing down will help you process these things and better recognize the information that you've received. You must mentally and physically clear away that clutter. You gotta just take a deep breath and clear away all the clutter, clear away all those second thoughts, all those other things, and just breathe. Sometimes distance is the best option. Taking a step back to gain some clarity on the situation, that can make a huge difference. You might be able to recognize what your gut is really saying when you have no distractions right in front of you anymore. That comes back to like having an authority figure or someone you really care about their opinion. If they're just staring right at you, being like, coming down your throat, like, you need to make this decision. That's a distraction. We're having these other opinions kind of come in. We can't declutter our brains and just focus on what we really need to focus. So slowing down means, purposely making space for your intuition to occupy. Make that space to let your intuition come to rise and get to working. Let that part of your brain start functioning by just slowing down, slowing the pace. It helps shift your perspective and clear away your distractions so that you can see and feel what truly matters. And that's such a huge thing. So I just think slowing down, not making rash decisions, not jumping on those emotions, not quickly going to somebody else for their advice on what they would do, just taking a deep breath, not overthinking though, not trying to, and that's, of course, easier said than done, but just taking a deep breath, sitting down, relaxing, chilling out, can help, our brains get that part of the brain going, help our intuition rise, so we can be really connected with what we need to connect with, what we need to arise from us. So on that note, it is time for another break, but when we get back, I'm going to go through some more tips on how we can be connected with our intuition. So then hopefully after this episode, you can feel more connected with yourself and that you're going to be making the right decisions from your intuition. Stay tuned.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. I'm going to jump right back in to some more tips about getting connected with your intuition and your gut feeling. And I think this one is so important, and that's paying attention to your body. Your intuition connects you with all the nerve cells in your body. So by paying attention to your body, you're going to be connected to those nerves. You're going to be connected to that intuition. The butterflies you get in your gut when you're nervous or something exciting is happening, or before like an important decision. That's the result of feeling like a million different nerve cells in your stomach. The subconscious part of your brain is sending signals to the nerves in the stomach to feel that way. So pay attention to your body, and not just your butterflies in your stomach, but other parts of your body as well. Sometimes when you make a decision and then listen to your body afterwards, you'll know if you made the right decision or not. I know maybe that might be better late, but it's better late than never, right? Maybe it might be too late, but it's better late than never. If you make a bad decision, you could feel kind of an aversion to it, usually like in the pit of your stomach. I find all those feelings really do come from the pit of your stomach, but it's not just that, when you're feeling tense or, you just don't feel right. Maybe you need to like crack your back, or you just feel kind of off center with your body. The chances are that something is not right, something is wrong. Your intuition is grounded within the sensations inside of our bodies. So learning to recognize what's going on within your body, so what you're feeling, is key to developing your intuition. While we might, we use the terms feelings and sensations to describe kind of that gut feeling, right? The gut feeling or your intuition. Specifically, we're more interested in understanding how your body feels in response to an emotion. So you need to be more connected with, if you do make a bad decision, how is your body feeling? If you act right away on an emotion, how is your body feeling? And by feeling kind of, our bodies are this amazing tool that we use for absolutely everything. And it can really tell us how we're feeling if we just try to be connected and really kind of get down to that core and feel what our body is like, why our body's reacting to something. So if we have an emotion, how is our body reacting to that? And it's different. A lot of it's different for a lot of people, right? You can't just base off what someone else kind of goes through, right? You gotta feel it for yourself and kind of be connected within yourself. And like those sensations that are rising in our bodies, they're associated with our emotion, right? So you feel this emotion, you feel a sensation, vice versa, you're feeling these go ahead, right? So, if you are angry and your jaw is tense and your shoulders are rising, note that to yourself, kind of be in connect with your body. Okay, I feel uptight, I feel closed off, right? Your body language too can really help you kind of see how you're feeling about something. Our body language says so much that we subconsciously kind of do. We don't realize that, maybe we are closing our bodies completely off. And then that's because of an emotion made us feel a certain way, right? So by being connected with your body, those sensations that are going through, you're going to feel more connected. You're going to feel more in with your intuition. Observe the things around you, observe yourself, and observe your reactions. It's all about observation and kind of actually paying attention to yourself. You have to focus on you. You have to have no other care in the world other than what is going on inside of your body, in your mind. What are you feeling? You got to focus on you. Check in with yourself. What do you really need right now? If your shoulders are rising and tense and you need like a back rub to like relax, well, you're obviously tense, you're worked up about something, maybe you're angry. Like your body gives you signs all the time, and we kind of ignore them because we get kind of immune to them. We don't really realize, oh my gosh, like my shoulders are raised all the way up, or I have this pit, like this feeling in my stomach, but maybe like it happens often and you don't really kind of connect one and two. But that's why it's so important to just check in and pay attention to yourself. I just think the most important thing to do when you're trying to be connected with your gut and your intuition is just try to listen. Listen to it, really just focus. And meditation can help you listen and connect. I did do an episode all about meditation. I did talk about different kinds of meditation as well for what works best for you. And it's so true that taking the time to meditate and be in that zone, we are able to connect with ourselves. We're able to connect with a more inner feeling, the inner us, right? That part of our body, that part of our brain that we need to connect with. So meditation is a huge thing to help you connect, to help you kind of forget everything else and just focus on you. Another thing that I kind of like to do is like try asking yourself a question and like, what's your first response? This is easier, I guess, if you have someone else too, that they can kind of rally off questions and you just answer quickly, right? Your first response is how you feel, right? That's your gut. That's your first intuition, that's your gut feeling, that's the thing that first pops into your head. So when there is no overthinking, no over-rationalizing or anything, the answer just arises to your brain automatically. Just like that. But it all comes down to, trusting yourself, and that can be just so difficult. A lot of us have to build our trust with ourselves just like we do others. And it takes time to know what the right thing to do is. Trusting yourself is one of the most helpful things you can do for you in your life and your happiness. It can help build your confidence, allow others to trust you more as well, build those connections with others, and just make the process of decision making a whole lot easier. To trust yourself, all you gotta do is just make a little effort, create some self-love, and find that ability just to look inward, to connect with yourself, connect with your body, pay attention. The tiny voice in our head that brings us down, that's saying that we're not good enough, don't listen to it. It's trying to protect us. That's our ego trying to protect us, and that's what it's supposed to be doing. That part of the brain, it is in charge of protecting us, and it does a good job sometimes, but then other times it really doesn't, because it blinds us from what's really going to happen, or what could happen, or what should happen. So ask yourself and check in. Why am I comfortable? Why do I need to push outside of this feeling? When you're connected with your body and you're feeling uncomfortable, you're feeling tense, why am I feeling like this? Why do I need to push out of that and get some clarity? What does that clarity look like? It's hard to see life in black and white. A lot of us are in the gray. Our life is in gray, and it's normal. But do you feel like you might just kind of over-rationalize, you're overthinking, or maybe just give a quick answer because you just don't want to actually be connected with yourself? You kind of throw everything else away and you're like, just take this, it's fine, whatever. We have to ask ourselves, why are we doing that? Why are we getting so worked up and anxious that we just don't even care enough to actually be connected with our bodies and our mind to make a decision correctly? So if you feel like you're kind of giving up on something, too quickly, or you're taking too long on something, the answers are all inside of us. They're in our inner guts. They're inside that, that intuition, and we just have to use the right tools to bring that out. The thing is, there is absolutely no way to know what's the right choice, if this is what's going to be best for you, because we don't know the future. We don't know what's next or what's going to happen if we just jump in. But what we do know is how we're feeling at the time. Are we sad? Do we feel bored? Do we feel held back? Are we tense? Do we want more? What are we feeling? We can check in with ourselves. And that's the best thing is we have that ability to check in and know what we're feeling. What is our gut saying? And by being in connection with ourselves, we can make those better decisions. Even though we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, we don't know what's going to happen in the future, we don't 110% know what's the best thing for us, but by being connected, we can make those decisions coming from the right place, coming from how we're feeling, how our life is at that time. Based on our interconnections, what we're doing for ourselves, we do know what is best for ourselves deep down, even though we can't figure out tomorrow, right? So it's just good to be connected, grounded with yourself. Make that change if you want 100% happy. Pay attention to your body, because life is too short to not go after what we really want or what we need. Life is too short to not take the risk for our happiness, for the life that we truly, truly want. So just remember, slow down. Check in with yourself. What is your body telling you? Because you do know the answers. They are inside of you. You just have to dig a little deeper. I'm going to finish today's episode with a little bit of a quote. You will never follow your own inner voice until you clear up the doubts in your mind. So throw away those doubts and trust yourself. Be connected with how you're feeling, and you will make the right decision. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. As always, I had an amazing time sharing this information with you. I hope you feel a little bit more connected with yourself, or I hope you feel a little excited to get connected with yourself. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like and follow us on social media, and leave a 5-star review. It is greatly appreciated. Till next time, thank you.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find the show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows. From the GSMC Podcast Network, from sex and relationships to health and wellness, life and happiness, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast.